Where is the rest of the body? Have they found the other body parts that belong to the leg found floating in Sulphur Creek? Whose leg was it floating down Sulphur Creek on the 4th of July? Today, I take you to Springfield, Tennessee. It's a hot 4th of July day by the creek. Families and friends are celebrating, playing, picnicking, spending time. That is until 12:35 p.m. when a human leg surfaced floating down the Sulphur Creek near Sulphur Memorial Bridge. Imagine the shock to the passersby who discovered it. As 911 was called and the word of the limbs circulated through the area, celebrations halted. The greenway was closed down by investigators until approximately 4 p.m. They were searching for more evidence and more body parts. Neither were found, and TBI took the limb for forensic testing. And that is what we last knew. I do have some more information, little tiny pieces that I have been able to extract, from little news reports. However, they have not identified who the leg belongs to. So let's get to what we've learned. First of all, for those of you following the Sebastian Rogers case, that's approximately, just to give you a reference of the area we're speaking about, that's approximately 23 miles northwest of Hendersonville, Tennessee, is where we're talking about in Springfield, Tennessee. And the population was about 20,000 in 2023. And it's a hot 4th of July day, and now we're going to get to 4 days later. And this is part of the new information that I give you. Is Smokey Barnes News reported that 4 days later, on July 8th, investigators returned to the area to search again for more body parts and evidence of around the area. And neither were found again. It also stated TBI does have the leg, and it may take weeks or months to do the forensic testing TBI is required to do. Now, I've kind of delved in a little bit about what forensic testing we can expect. It did state that first they will check for trauma, unique features such as scars, tats, birthmarks, maybe birth deformities, and they'll use that to try and identify the individual. And if those efforts are unsuccessful, then they'll do DNA testing, comparing the sample to missing persons databases, or familial DNA will be used. And that could also take weeks or months. But I looked into what other clues forensically they can get from that limb that was floating down the creek. The new information that I found out is that they do believe that the limb could have traveled from much farther upstream due to its decomposed state and the amount of time that it looks like it had been in that creek. So let's get to some of the forensic testing that can be done. And I am going to say it's a little bit of a trigger warning because some of it is quite graphic. Okay. So a thorough investigation considers all the available physical evidence on the remains and the surrounding environment. So when they go back, they're also looking at that environment and any related information to reconstruct the events that led to discovering the leg floating down the creek and to determine if it was foul play. So one of the first things they do is if it's in an unusual location. The discovery of the body part, is that a location that the person, when they do identify them, is typically frequented? If not, that can cause and raise suspicion and lead to foul play. If it's a place that the person went to a lot, then they'll have to look at other things, such as we are going to be discussing foul play. It could be highly suspected when a human leg is found in a creek, especially if other body parts are not immediately present nearby or found in different locations. And right now that is the case. They've investigated twice that we know of, the 4th of July and the 8th, and have found no other body parts around that have been reported. So the isolated discovery of a leg without other associated body parts suggests an attempt to conceal the crime and dispose of the body parts. Key indicators of foul play in such a situation would include, and this is where the trigger warning comes a little bit, evidence of dismemberment, cut or saw marks. The most direct indicator of foul play would be the presence of clean cuts or distinct saw marks on the bone at the point of dismemberment, indicating the use of tools like handsaws, chainsaws, or knives. Specific dismemberment patterns. Forensic analysis can reveal the manner of dismemberment. And so remember, it's at TBI being forensically analyzed. For instance, disarticulation at joints, transection of bone by chopping or sawing, which can provide crucial information about the crime and the perpetrator. Signs of trauma. Antemortem injuries, the presence of injuries that occurred before death, like defensive wounds, bruises, cuts, or signs of struggle, could indicate a violent encounter prior to dismemberment. Also, blunt force injuries. These are all things they can identify, notice, observe, and look for during forensic testing, even prior to DNA testing. In addition to blunt force injuries, abrasions, contusions, lacerations that are not consistent with natural causes or post-mortem events, like dragging along creek beds, are important clues. Yikes, right? Hold on. So then they're also going to be doing DNA testing. That they'll be comparing the sample from the leg to missing person databases or familial DNA. And that could also take weeks or even months. And if anyone knows anything, please do contact the Springfield Police Department, because they are the lead investigators. So we learned some new things. They went back July 8th and still haven't found any more body parts. So we know second investigation, no more body parts, no more evidence. We also know the first part of the forensics is looking for the identifying marks, scars, tattoos. Then they go on to the things I shared with you, is by looking at how maybe the leg came apart away from the body. The fact that it's been in the creek so long, they think it may have come from much further upstream, which may be where their investigation needs to go, and it may make it much more challenging. But we are looking at possible weeks to months before they will be able to identify who the body belongs to and answer our questions. Where is the rest of the body? Was it a male? Was it a female? An adult? A child? How long ago do you think this person lost their life? And was foul play involved? Hit that notification bell for those answers, because when they come out, we're going to talk about them. And if you would, hit that like on your way out. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. We'd love to have you. Keep keeping on. And until next time, talk soon.